What's up, you guys? Welcome to Hospital Stories, Horror, and Hilarity. My name is Morgan. I was born with a chronic illness called cystic fibrosis, and I've spent most of my life growing up in and out of hospitals due to the condition. Now, when most people think of hospitals, they think of a super scary place full of blood and pokes and prods, and while that's true, when you have a chronic illness and you grow up in them, you learn to view them as more of a second home than anything. Each video will either contain a horror story or a hilarious story from my many years that I've spent inside of the four walls of a hospital that probably a lot of other people don't have. These videos will touch on hospital negligence, near-death experiences, and all of the not safe for work experiences I've had in the hospital while breaking quite a few rules. And if you guys enjoyed today's video in the series, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit the little bell so you don't miss any notifications for any other crazy horror or hilarity stories from the hospital that I post. Let's get to story time. So the first story I have for you guys is going to be about the time my friends dared me to see if I could get a group of dancers from the local strip club to come and visit me while I was inpatient, which I'm gonna call pulling the CF card. Now, when I used to hang out with my friends, that always laugh and say that I could get all these girls because I would pull what they called the CF card. And they're basically saying that I could use the CF card. I could pull the whole, I'm gonna die young, I have this condition. And they always told me, they're like, dude, you need to pull the CF card more, because even though I probably could, I didn't, because I just thought that was shitty. I was very, very sick, and I was scheduled to be admitted into the hospital. Well, my hospital is located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and let's say the hospital is right here. Right down the road, right around here from the hospital, is a strip club. And so I was going to be admitted into the hospital the next day. So my friends were like, dude, you're going to be admitted in the hospital for like 3 weeks. We're gonna go out and throw you a rager with like a last hurrah before you're stuck in the hospital. So we all decided to hit up the strip club. We're all having a great time at the club. It's a fun night. You know, I feel like crap, but I know I'm going to be in the hospital the next day. So I'm just going hard. Again, don't recommend doing that, but I wasn't the smartest whenever I was in my early 20s. I was in that point to where Jägermeister was the drink of choice, and we were hammering Jaeger bombs like there was no tomorrow. Towards the end of the night, we were all pretty litty, and then that's when the shenanigans began. So it was me and like 3 of my friends, and we're all sitting at a table, and I don't know how it came up, but they started talking about the CF card. And then my friend turns to me and he was like, I'll bet you that you can't pull the CF card and get one of these dancers to come visit you in the hospital while you're inpatient. Now, let me remind you again that I was very, very inebriated at this point, and normally I would just laugh it off and just be like, whatever, dude. But for some reason that night, you know what? You got a deal going on. Let's do it. And I honestly can't even remember what we bet on at this point, like what the thing was gonna be if I couldn't do it. So I was like, all right, dude, I'll let you pick the most attractive lady in this entire club, the most attractive dancer. Like pick them out. Let's do this. And so he looks on stage and he was like, that one right there is the one you're gonna try. She was the one in the club that everyone was always trying to get the dances from. They wanted her at their table and all that. She was like the creme de la creme. And I was like, all right, deal. We're gonna do this. It is on. So I went and drew out some money, and I kind of waited and watched, and then I saw that she wasn't at a table and she wasn't on a stage. So I approached her, and we started chatting it up, started talking, and I was like, hey, could I get a dance? But the thing is, I didn't want a VIP dance. I wanted her to come back to the table that we were at, because I wanted my friends to be able to hear this. Well, she starts coming back to the table, and I sit at the table next to where my group is sitting. So I'm sitting like this, the girl's obviously here dancing, and then my friends are at the table like right here, but they all had their back turned towards me. So we're pretending like we're not together, but they were close enough in earshot to where they could hear everything that I was saying and everything that she was saying. She just started talking to me, asking, how I was, what's going on. So I reached into my pocket and was like Gambit from the X-Men and pulled out that CF card, baby. And I was like, oh, I'm doing all right. I have this condition called cystic fibrosis, and I gotta go in the hospital tomorrow. I'm gonna be in there for like 3 weeks and all that. And she was, oh God, and she was dancing, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. And I was like, yeah, it sucks, going in the hospital because it's boring because I'm just in there for like 2-3 weeks. There's nothing to do and the food's horrible and all. I think I had bought like 3 or 4 songs, like dances from her. So like she would dance over like 3 or 4 songs, then that would be the end. Because I know I was gonna need a minute to like figure this out, because I was flying by the seat of my pants here, right? I had never done this before, but I was hammered, and I really just wanted to win this bet, which I still don't even remember what we bet, or even if I actually won anything from it. I did win bragging rights, though. That's about it. Pretty much towards the end of the 4th song, right? She's dancing, and by this point, we had been talking a lot about like CF, about me being in the hospital and all this. And I remember she's like dancing, and she turns towards me and she was like, so, are you allowed visitors? And I remember glancing out of the corner of my eye and seeing my friend. He kind of turned his head towards me like this just to look, because he heard her say it. He kind of had that look of disbelief, like there ain't no way that this is actually about to happen. There's no way that he did this. It's like, yeah, I can have all the visitors that I want, because again, at this hospital, they know me very well. I don't have any restrictions on when I can have visitors or people coming over or anything like that. So my friends would come over, all hours of the night and hang out. And again, we didn't do anything crazy. We're mostly just be sitting in there playing video games or like Monopoly or something, just things to pass the time while you're in the hospital. Yeah, I can totally have visitors and all that. She's like, so would you be cool if like me and some of the girls, we could come visit you, because you're just in the hospital right down the road, right? And I was like, yeah, just that one right over there, just that hospital right there. It's no big deal. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump right over there. And she was like, you know what you should do? You should give me your number, and then me and the girls will come visit you one day. And I kind of like, I started laughing, and I made eye contact with my friend, who's just looking. By this point, all of them had turned, and they're just staring at this situation like, there ain't no way that this man actually achieved this. And I kind of shot a smile and grinned at him, and I was like, you totally don't have to do that. No way. And she's like, no, I want to. I want to come see you. I want to come hang out and all that. And I was like, well, if you insist. So she tears off a piece of a napkin, and I write my phone number down on it, and our time together is over. The dance is over. And I hand it to her, and she gets called back up to the main stage to do her dance. So she's dancing. By this point, I had rejoined up with all of my friends, and there's like, dude, she's not actually going to come visit you. There's no way she's going to come visit. Like, she was just being nice to you because you're the sick kid and all that. And honestly, that's what I believed as well. I was like, there is no way in the world that this girl or any other dancer in this facility is going to come to the hospital to see a guy that they just met in the club, because they see a ton of dudes who probably say everything in the world to try to get these girls to date them, go with them, all sorts of creepy dudes in the strip club, which now that I think about it, that was me that night. I'm not proud of that. And so when I gave her my number on this like little shred of napkin, she's just wearing like the G-string. That was it. She kind of just stuffs it into the strap of the G-string. Then she gets on stage, and I see like the number fall onto the stage out of her outfit. And then it gets done, and she's gathering the money up. And they were like, dude, what? She's not gonna pick that number up. It's gonna sit there, and the cleaning crew's gonna get it. And she picks up all the money, and before she's about to leave the stage, she turns back and purposely picks up that little shred, and then walks back through the curtain back into the dressing room. By that time, it was getting close to like 2 a.m. We were about to leave and all that, and so I didn't see her again, and we kind of left it at that. The whole way home, like in the cab and all that, we were all laughing, and they're still just being like, dude, there's no way that chick's gonna come and see you. And I also didn't think she was either. Fast forward to about a week and a half into this hospital stay, I get a call on my phone from a number that I do not know. So I answered it, and I hear a girl on the other end. She's like, "Hi, is this Morgan?" And I was like, yeah, who's this? And for the purposes of this video, we're just gonna call her Allie. Hey, this is Allie, from Uptown Cabaret. How are you doing? Are you in the hospital? I kind of like paused for a minute and covered the phone for some reason, like you would if like your kids are yelling in the background. And I was just thinking to myself, bruh, there ain't no way this is actually happening right now. And so I kind of like gathered myself, and I was like, yeah, it's me. I'm here. How are you doing? Like, how have you been and all that? I'm great. She's like, so, I have a day off coming up, and I was wondering if it would still be cool if I came to the hospital and, paid you a visit. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm just dying to get off the phone so I can text my friends, just be like, look. But again, I knew they still probably wouldn't believe me. So we arranged for it, and she said she was going to come over at a certain time and all that. And I was like, all right, no big deal. It's like all good. We set it up and everything, and I hung up the phone. Well, I didn't text my friends because I knew they still weren't going to believe me. They're going to be like, dude, there's no proof. You don't know it. That didn't really happen. That didn't really happen, bro. Well, fast forward to a couple days later. Comes around that time, I get a knock on the door, and who is it? It's Allie, and then another one of the dancers. And man, these two girls were the sweetest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. Like, what started out as a dare ended up turning into a friendship because they were so incredibly kind. And I fessed up in the hospital room. I was like, listen, y'all, I feel really bad and I have to tell you something, because I was like, it's not me to do this, pull the CF card and all that, but I got to tell you what happened. So I ran them through the whole story of the dare and what had happened, and they couldn't stop laughing. They thought it was the most hilarious and best thing they had ever heard. They were like, we're working tonight. When are you allowed to have visitors? Is it cool if we come back to tonight around like 2:30, like 3 in the morning? And I was like, I guess so. That's totally fine. The floor that I was staying on at the time in the hospital wasn't my usual floor. It was a overflow unit when the hospital's really full, so that's where they stuck me. The floor that I stay on is kind of like this hexadecimal shape with multiple hallways with rooms going off of it. This was just a straight hallway, and you had to walk right by the nurse's desk to get to my room because I'm at the very end of this single hallway. Well, 2:30, 3 a.m. rolls around, and you just hear this faint sound in the distance. This sound. It sounds like a herd of horses galloping through the hallways. And then, Lord have mercy, I get a knock on my door, and the door opens, and not only is it Allie and her friend, it is like, I don't know how many dancers were there, but they all come in. Some of them are dressed in street clothes. Some of them still have on some are dressed in their street clothes, but then a majority of them still have on like super tall, like stilettos. They had jackets on covering up their like attire that they would wear at the club and all that. And they all come in my room. And there's like 5 or 6 in here. And they came back, and she was like, okay, now let's go ahead and take a photo and we'll send it to your friends. So then all of these girls remove their jackets, and a lot of them are still in very skimpy attire. They all crawl in the hospital bed with me and take a photo. And they were like, okay, now send that. And I sent it to my friends, and they were just like, bro, there is no way that actually happened. There is no chance in the world. And I was like, bro, it did. So what turned out as just this dare or whatever took a life of its own when these girls heard the story, and they took it to another level. They ended up coming back with like the entire cabaret of girls with them and took a photo with me in the hospital. But like I said, we ended up becoming really good friends, and they and like random girls from the club would come over like pretty frequently. There was a diner right across from the club that stayed open 24/7, and they'd bring me food super late at night. They were legit the biggest sweethearts. And they were like, you know what? We get creepy dudes in here asking us out on dates, asking us if they can like lick our toes. They're like, this is the best story and one of the best things we've ever been a part of as far as someone coming into the club. And I'm actually still friends with them on Facebook to this day. But to end that story, so like I said, they had to come by the nurse's station to get to my room. And again, they started coming back frequently, and it would be, sometimes during the day, sometimes at like 3 or 4 in the morning coming back, because I never sleep as it is. And so it's towards the end of my hospital stay, and before you get discharged, you have to meet with your doctor again, and he basically gives you the okay. And so my doctor comes in, and he sits down in his little chair and in the room, and he's like, so I have to ask you something. The nurses have been having some whispers and been saying some weird things. Are you running an escort? Are you running an escort service out of your hospital room? Bro, I laughed so hard about that, and I went and told my doctor the entire story of the dare and what all had happened and all that. And he just stood there, or he just sat there for probably like a solid minute, just staring at me, just shaking his head, trying not to laugh because he's trying to be professional. But he just shakes his head and he was like, only you could have something like this happen while you're in the hospital of all places. And so I ended up winning the bet. Ended up making some amazing friends that I'm still friends with now. Made all of the nurses and the hospital staff think that I was some pimp running an escort service out of my hospital room in Charlotte. That does it though for episode 1 of Hospital Stories, Horror and Hilarity. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You guys have always been asking about stories from the hospital that maybe I didn't vlog, or if I've ever had like negligence happen or any sort of crazy things. Because like I said, growing up in the hospital, you don't treat it as you're in a hospital. It's basically like whenever you would go in the hospital, it was almost like a 2 to 3 week vacation, because I mean, you're stuck there and you've been doing this forever. So you might as well make the best of it. And you know, you can get a bunch of dancers to come visit you. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If it made you laugh, if it made you cringe, if you enjoyed it, do me a favor and subscribe. If you don't care, hit that like button. You can drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought about it. I have plenty more stories to tell you guys that I will be releasing in the coming weeks. So be sure to sub and hit the bell to get the notifications so you don't miss it. This has been a blast. I'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a good day, night, evening, whatever it is. Be good to one another. I love you all. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace out.